I've got about 20 minutes before I'm going for a walk, and I thought I'd practice Bakasana. So I've got a mat, I've got some bricks, a couple of these. You'll need maybe a couple of wooden bricks as well, and a blanket. Okay, but you're going to start with dog head down. Or I'm going to start with dog head down, you can just watch. Thank you, Mavanri. This says thank you, Lucy. I was really stoked. It turned up in the post the other day. It's so nice. I think we should all start a revolution. Start sending cards to people. It's so nice to get a proper letter or a proper something. So I'm just going to sit for a moment and set my intention, which is to do a beautiful Bakasana and to teach or show you how to have a go at getting there. So I'll set my intention. I also thank my teachers, and my teachers' teachers, so it's a lineage of teachers. And I thank Patanjali for the Yoga Sutras. And the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita and the teachings of the Iyengar family. And all the Iyengar teachers. And thank my own inner teacher. Open your eyes. So, I'm going to start with dog head down because it's quite a normal way to start. But if we start actually with adho mukha, don't let the arms be floppy because we need them to learn to be firm. And if you think about Bakasana, which is the bird pose, also known as the crow pose, it's got you have a deep fold in the hips. Yeah. You also have the back is quite rounded, but to begin with, what I want you to do is I want you to activate the feet. I want you to press the toes a little bit into the floor, and you'll feel how that changes the relationship of the lower back to the hips. And let yourself come down. Press down. Arms strong, and palms pressing down. Really think about taking that crease down towards the floor. That's the crease of the hips. And notice as you focus on taking the crease of the hips down, how the abdomen naturally widens back towards the back of the pelvis. Just becomes soft. It's not hard and pushing forwards. And then come up into your dog head down. But as you come up, think about the crease of the hips. So you're going to take the crease of the hips up. So come up with slight bent legs. Take the crease of the hips up and now straighten those legs. And then start to take the heels down. Spread out through the toes. Pressing down into the hands, lifting up into the crease of the hips. And relax the head. And then bend the knees and pop back down. Taking the crease of the hips down. Crease of the hips down. And then inhale, come up. Sit through. I'll move that brick out of the way so you can see. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, we're not going to go into chaturanga because we want to get the arms to work. So we're doing chaturangasana, often confused. Lots of people hear chaturanga and that's all they hear when they go into chaturanga dandasana. This is chaturangasana. So you're going to press down the hands and feel how you can make the arms work without even having to really take the weight on them. Now make the muscles wrap around the bone, move the shoulders away from the ears, and take the tailbone away from the crown of the head whilst taking the crown of the head away from the tailbone, and press those ankles down. And have the spine as long as you can make it. So I said we have a folly up near us and it's called the steeple and there's railings around it. I said pretend that you're trying to get through the railings, your head's gone through the railings, you're still trying to get through the railings but the shoulders are holding you back. So the railings are holding you back. And your friends are trying to pull you out of your railings, out of the railings. So you've got a tail as well, so they're pulling your tail and your head's trying to go the other way. So it's a proper push-me-pull-you action. Shoulders are broad, collarbones are broad, pressing those ankles down. And then exhale, release. Think about the pose. Notice how that felt in your wrists. If it didn't feel so good, you can get something called wedges. I'll show you them. Everybody goes, oh, why do I want a set of those? And it's because not all of us can get our hands comfortably. You can just try this. See if you can get your hand comfortably to a right angle. It's very tricky. Yeah, but a wedge means that you can just put the hand there and it's got a bit more of a slope. Yeah, it's not this way. I've seen people put their hand this way. That's going to increase the work. Okay, so it's definitely that way. And then that goes on the floor, obviously. And you press down there. So you can do that as a support for your hands if you find that the pressure is too much. And it's important that you then still press into the fingers, because if you allow the weight to still come back, I don't know if you could see that, but if you allow, I'll do that there in front of my blue t-shirt, if you let the weight come back into the wrist, the hands have a tendency to spring up again, and then all the weight comes into that area again. So just be aware, how you sort of structure your base is equally important. If they're slippery, put a mat over the top. Okay, so you've got that information there too now. Okay? So let's, from here, chaturangasana we've come into again. If it's uncomfortable on the knees, then you can put a blanket underneath them. You hold, and then big toes together, and then just keep the hands pressing down, stretch back again. Feel the crease through the tops of the thighs. Taking that crease down, and then come into your dog head down again. And stretch back, and allow those hips to be pulled back. Allow the spine to feel like it's coming forwards as much as you can. And I'm going to ask you here to come into your uttanasana, forward bend. So we're going to actually, because the hands take all the weight, we're going to walk forwards, keeping the weight in our hands, and come into your forward bend. So if you need bricks now for your hands, put your hands up on bricks. Again, keeping the weight. So we're adho. Uttanasana, forward bend. So the hands are still there working a little. And then once you've got your adho, just to bring a little bit more stretch to the legs, you're going to come down into your uttanasana. Let the hands come either side of the feet. Release the head down, hips forwards. And now take that crease up again. Take that crease up again. Feel the pull up through the inner legs, and notice if you lift your arches up in your feet, so you can see them, lift your arches up, tighten the kneecaps, feel the can't remember the word, the reverberation of energy right up into the groins. You said reverberance, I don't think that's a word. Kneecaps up, inhale, look forwards, So back to your adho. Okay? And then dog it down. And then pose the child. And inhale, come up. Next pose is malasana. So how we can do malasana is if you have actually 3 foam pads, so I apologise. It's only because I thought I'd suddenly make a video, a little film. I haven't done one all week. And if you've got your blanket, so it depends how tight your hips are. So this is my first, second and third podium. It's done up here first. Okay, you're there like this. And your feet can then come to here. Make sure the knees are comfortable. You can just dome forwards and stretch the arms forwards to begin with. Now your big toes are together and the inner ankles are together. So if I just spin around, slide this back a little. Yeah? So there's the edge of the feet are completely together. The arches lift and these toes are long. And the knees come apart, the arms come forwards, you pressurize the heels, you draw the tailbone down and you stretch these arms forwards. And you can put the hands down if you want to be able to, if you find your balance is a problem, or you can stretch them forwards. So we're really trying to get strength through the legs, making sure it's comfortable on your knees. Okay, so you make sure the knees are comfortable, you charge the legs, weight is here, and then you don't hang in the knees, you stretch the arms forwards, and you picture someone just smacked your bottom from underneath, and you lift it up away from that. Or maybe there's something sharp you don't want to sit on. You can bring those arms down, you'll feel your thighs working. You want to think about drawing your tailbone towards your head, and then you can come down. You can feel that leg work. You want to do one more? I think we should. So if you're finding that the heels, this is not really like you're working, then you can come down a little bit lower. So you come down onto 2 bricks, and it's only because I wanted to add an extra bit of height there for you. So you've got 2 bricks, and you can have a blanket roll, except for you, Devinda, because you can do it so beautifully with your squat. So you've got your little blanket roll here. I might just have the one foam pad then. So I'm going to make myself work a little harder. There's my roll. There's my pad. Maybe not. Change from work and sit there like this. Heels come back. So now we're trying to get as much extension length through the heels. Knees come apart, feet are together. Okay, once you're down and in, you want to make this whole area compact. Okay, so again, it's like my tail is just, or the crease of my hips is being pulled back. Imagine you've got ropes or something in the crease of the hips. And then exhale, sit down. Okay. Nice bit of work there. What you can do next, if you want to work on that action, is take a brick. I like to have this to rest my head on. You don't ever want to rest your head lower than your bottom. So however high your bottom is, you shouldn't really have your head any lower, or you'll drop forwards into your head. And you want it to be quietening. Okay, so just quietening for the brain, but not resting on your head. So you can rest the head down, and then if you want to bring the hands around to hold those ankles, You can hold those ankles, keep the legs working. Hold this for a little while. If you find that the brick is just a little bit too high, you can just pop it down a little bit. Nice domed back. Those legs are working quite strongly. Pressing the inner edges of the big toes together, inner heels together. And then exhale, sit back down. And release the legs forwards. And make sure they belong to you. Yep, they do. Okay, so we've practiced the weight on the arms. We've practiced the leg work. So now if we have a think about the pose, we're balancing on the arms and the knees are up near our armpits. So just to get a little bit of action in the thighs now and to just bring a little bit more warmth into the body, we're going to go into dog head down, and then I'm going to call it adho Bakasana, slightly harder Bakasana. You're just drawing the knee up as high as you possibly can, just a couple of times, left and right. So if you're not sure, I shall demonstrate. So you've got quite a narrow dog head down. Yeah, have the feet together, and then with an exhale, just draw the heel up in towards your bottom. And then see whether you can bring the knee up as high as possible, keeping that foot in, and then stretch it back. Okay, and then let's try the other side. So bend the knee up, lift the foot up like you're going to kick your bottom, come forwards, knee towards that armpit as much as you can, and then come back. First side again, and then come back. It's like your bottom is sort of, the tailbone is driving that leg forwards, and then come back. And then rest down. Feet together. Take some breaths. Come on. So the next pose that I want you to do is Bakasana, or Bakasana. And this is a really lovely preparatory way to just get a feel for the pose. So I like maybe 3 or 4 bricks. Make sure that they're stable, they're not going to topple over. Okay, and you're going to stand either side of the bricks. You're just going to pop your hands down. Alright, and then you can step up onto the bricks. Yeah? And you just bring the knees up. So you're on your toes, you bring the knees, and you can feel that lovely rounded action here. And then you can step back down, just step over the back, and take a rest. That's me resting. Okay, and then place the hands down again. This time see if you can come onto the tips of the toes. Right, so you'll notice here as well that your arms can be very, very straight. And that's a really tricky thing to do when you're actually in the pose. So tricky. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't for me. So here, now you're going to come onto the tips of the toes, around the back. You can then come onto the tops of the feet if you feel comfortable. Keep the legs working. Toes back down. And then step off. And you'll feel again the body doming there. Now you can take away one brick if you know, so you've got to get your height correct. If the height is too much, you mustn't feel like you're going to fall over. Okay, there's no bouncing. As soon as you try and bounce forwards, if the momentum's going forwards, you don't want to land on your face. You don't want to land forwards. So you keep the body controlled and you make sure the weight is going down into the hands there. So here we are again. Step up, be on the toes. Yeah, and you can now sort of bring your weight back into the bottom here. The knees are coming towards the armpits, and then you tip forwards. And you see if you can get that grip. Once you've got that grip, with that little bit lower with the feet, can you lift one foot off the brick? And then release. And you lift the other foot off the brick. And then release. Rock back. Step off. Take some breaths. And it's at this point where you just have to contemplate what you're doing. Don't worry about whether you did it or didn't do it. Just contemplate the action and what actually happened. So we have to be like an inner engineer of our movements in our bodies, just to find out what needs to work, maybe what's overworking as well. Okay? So we're just watching our bodies as we do these movements. So we're going to have another go like that. So hands down. Step up onto the brick. Making sure it feels a comfortable height for you. You have to bend the knees towards the armpits and let the armpits come in as much as possible. Okay, so now the weight is back in my feet at the moment. Then you bring your weight forwards. Then you lift one foot. Then you see, can I lift the other foot? And you might say, yes, I can. And you can put the feet down. And then you can come down. Take a rest. Okay, want to have one more go? Be a good idea, huh? Before we go for the full Monty. So when you're ready, I'll just leave my hair. Stop filling. Come up. Step onto the brick. 1, 2. Bend the knees. Take some breaths and just set your intention. Even if you can't get your head around doing it, picture yourself doing it. That's why light on yoga is flipping marvellous. Because you just open up the book and you can see big yes I am doing that pose. You can keep going. I'm just chatting at the moment. So have a go. And you can envisage how that pose is meant to be done. So you tip forwards into the hands, straighten up those arms, lift one foot and lift the other foot. And then come down, come off the bricks. And sit on your bottom. Okay? Happy with that? Those out the way now. So we should really have a go at Bakasana, shouldn't we? So in coming from standing, I'm going to move out of the shot, so I've gone. My head's disappeared. So you're going to stand, have the feet together, legs together, and you're just going to exhale, fold forwards and bend your knees. Alright, so bend the knees and bring the hands down. Okay, from here lift the knees up and drop the bottom down. Now it's at this point where I like to bring myself right in, because I always think of little birds popping up with their little fluffy bodies. It's always baby birds. Okay, so you activate the legs, you look forwards. From here, lift the feet up whilst pressing down into the hands, round the back, straighten up through the arms and hold. Breathe. And then come down, lengthen up through the legs, and stand up. Okay, so it's that little tiny, so birds, I like seeing them just kind of popping up onto their feet. Okay, so should we have another go? Ready? I've got the legs together. You can bend the legs, come down, and take my heels off the floor. I'm getting my shins up the armpits as much as possible. Alright? And then you let yourself come forwards. Pop up through the arms, round the back, work the feet. Pressing the arms straight down, more and more. Activate the arches, stretch those feet away, stretch the heels away, make the toes active. Pop the feet back down. Come down, rest, pose the child. Take a couple of breaths there. And back up. Okay, down. Lengthen back. Look forwards. Come to cross legs. And stretch the legs forwards. So for the finale, you can pull the butterflesh out and back. And you're going to see whether you can come from Dandasana with no hands to bring the feet in, and then to go up into your Bakasana. Okay? So it's as if we're going through malasana. So you're here, you're going to bend up the legs. If you can't get up and over the feet, then you just need to put some height underneath your bottom. Here, stretch the arms forwards, rock up. Stretching those arms, extend, knees into the armpits, hold, tip forwards, raise yourself up, Bakasana, release yourself back down, Dandasana. Take some breaths. Lie down. One knee in towards the chest. Second knee in towards the chest. Both legs a palm with uttanasana. Release the legs down. Interlace the fingers, push the palms, stretch them over your head. Good length here. Lower the arms. Change the interlace. Lengthen. Release them down. Stretch those legs away. Rest your hands on the belly. Bend up your left leg. Bend up the right leg. Carefully roll to your side. And then quietly sit yourself up. It might have been a bit longer than 20 minutes. How long was it? Oh, half an hour. Oops. Thank you.